What is up, guys? It is JRob from Team Energy Golf Clash, back here with some more lethal content with this Tour 9 guide and walkthrough. Now, in this guide, we have instilled the most legendary of Golf Clash secrets, consisting of our absolute best tips and tricks for Tour 9 specifically to help you master any given Tour 9 course. Live gameplay, voiceover, tutorial, elevation and wind adjustments, how to win, what clubs should I use. We'll be doing the best that we possibly can to answer any and all questions that you might have about Tour 9. There will be multiple sections throughout the video, so if there's a specific section that you would like to see first, there will be timestamps in the description below. Now, being a veteran Golf Clash player myself, we do recognize that some of you may be considerably better than others, but as we all know, there is no shame in the game, so we'll be starting with the basics and moving on to more advanced topics as the video progresses. But without further ado, if you have not yet felt the vibe and the need to subscribe, hit that subscribe button down below and join the Team Energy family no matter what clan you are in. We're just out here trying to spread the knowledge and positivity of the game and the love for the course, and we'll gladly welcome anyone that's willing to help support the movement in our Golf Clash content. So thank you guys so much. You all are seriously the best, and as always, happy golfing and good luck out there. Now let's get to the video. Alright guys, welcome to the Ultimate Tour 9 Tips and Tricks Guide video. We're going to start the video off here with a lot of the basics and get some of the simple stuff out of the way first so that we all have an understanding of some of the basic things we'll need to know before jumping onto the course. So, what is Tour 9? Tour 9 is the 9th out of 12 tours on Golf Clash the game. It has an entry fee of 1 million coins and is one of the hardest tours in the game. A match win will earn you 2 million coins, 16 clan points, and a random silver, gold, or platinum Tour 9 chest. They change the courses of the tours every now and then, but the current courses are Sharuba Springs, the Milano, and Glen Monarch Estates. We'll be playing from the middle tee box with winds from 6 to 16 miles per hour with a needle speed of plus 40% and our first shots spin hidden. So, now that you know the rules and the guidelines of Tour 9, let's jump over and talk about our first set of tips that we've got here for you guys on the Tour 9 guide. Okay, so we're going to move on to our first set of 5 tips here out of the 20 total tips that we've got for you guys here today. So, number 1 here being bankroll management. No matter what, we've always got to make sure that we've got enough coins to play so that we don't run out of coins completely. So I would recommend here in this case to have at least 20 to 25 million coins before starting to play Tour 9 to give yourself that cushion in case you lose, because you will lose eventually, which leads us into our next tip here. Tip number 2, have a fallback tour. Before advancing to the next tour ahead, always try to make sure that you have a solid understanding of the tours before the one that you're planning to play. So in this case, I would highly recommend being sufficient at Tour 8 or Tour 7 before moving on to Tour 9. So when you lose a few in a row or go on a losing streak, you can easily earn your money back on Tour 7 or Tour 8. So moving on to tip number 3 now, learn how to read your fairways. This is a big part of being able to outsmart your opponent when you have the knowledge to know that there may be some elevation on your shot. And then if we can even take it an extra step further and move on to tip number 4 as we learn how to properly adjust for our wind correctly, which we will also be talking about more here in a second, but this also ties into a collaboration with tip number 5 as we learn to adjust for our elevation, which is going to be a huge factor in winning our shootouts and landing some shots. So we're going to pull up a quick picture here and do a quick diagnostic on what we've just went over and take a little bit of a deeper look. Alright, so the reason that I've pulled this picture up here for us to look at is because you might recognize this shootout hole from Tour 7 Kohong Resorts. Now, what's significant about this picture is that we can tie this in with tip 3 and see that while reading our fairways, we find that the green and where the pin lies is a lot lower down than where we would figuratively be standing if we were on the tee box. So we know that since we have to hit our ball up into the sky at the same arc as we usually do, because the pin is lower than level ground, the ball will have that much more hang time. So here in this clip, I want to give a short analysis on how to adjust for wind, but mainly show you what it is like to adjust your ball even that much further than you normally would to account for your elevation. Okay, so in the live footage here, you can get a really good look at how severely downhill this hole really is. Now, being able to notice that you're playing a downhill course and that you'll have to adjust more for elevation, you could have a big advantage to those who do not understand elevation yet. So with that being said, here in this clip, my adjustment without elevation would have been just a small bit more than 3 rings or just outside of the blue on flat ground. But because this hole is drastically downhill, we'll have to take an educated guess on what our elevation might be for any certain hole. So here I went with a 5 ring over adjustment. I adjusted for 8 rings when in reality I should have just went with a 7 ring adjustment at 40% downhill. Now, elevation is a pretty tricky topic, and it changes depending on the club you may be using, so definitely keep that in mind when playing. But I just wanted to throw this picture up on the screen really quick to talk about wind adjustments and getting a wind chart for your clubs. If you'd like to watch a really great wind and ring adjustment video, there's a link in the description below to a great video that we've made talking about all that. But before we jump over and talk about some of the clubs you should have before moving on to Tour 9, I'd like to talk about this club chart up on the screen. I would highly recommend going on to golfclashnotebook.com and making yourself your own wind chart. In their wind chart creator, there is a tool section. I would use that, but it basically takes the accuracy of your club and it's divided out into rings, and whatever ball you're using also has a small effect, but having a wind chart will greatly help you succeed out on the course and will remind you where to move your shots on certain clubs. Alright guys, so I just wanted to move on and talk about some of the clubs that I think are going to be the biggest help for you guys in the beginning of Tour 9. So we're going to start off here and talk about some drivers, with the extra mile being the first one that we have here. I would recommend having this club to at least level 4. The extra mile will get you by on most holes and take the place for the Apocalypse until you get it to level 2. And the Apocalypse cards start to roll in. So the rock will actually fill nice in its place at level 5 plus for the Apocalypse. And I would also recommend having the quarterback to at least level 6 plus before starting Tour 9. And also the big topper at level 3. And Thor's hammer would also be handy at level 3 plus. So moving on to the wood clubs here, we would have the Guardian and the Big Dog coming in at level 5 plus for our rare clubs here. Then the Sniper and the Viper coming in at level 6 plus. Our long irons are going to be a little bit different here with our Goliath and our Grizzly coming in at level 4. And then the Backbone and the Saturn coming in at level 6. Our short irons coming in with the Thorn and the Hornet here at level 4 as well. And also the Claw at level 6 and the Falcon at level 2. Now moving on to our wedges, we'll also have the Endbringer and the Firefly here at level 3. And the Skewer is also a decent option until you unlock one of the better ones at level 6 plus, as well as the Rapier at level 6 plus. But here for our rough irons, I would recommend having at least level 2 plus here, Nirvana, and a level 3 plus Off-Roader, or a level 5 plus Razor. So that's going to give us the best distance and ball guide combination here for our rough irons to make a lot of those very much needed close rough iron chips when you need to make it into the hole to make that eagle, especially in some tournaments. But to finish it up with our sand wedges here, I'd at least like to recommend having a level 4 plus Malibu. If you are capable of having the Spitfire at level 3 plus would be an advantage, or the Sand Lizard here at level 6 plus. And that's pretty much going to be the wrap up here for our recommended clubs to start playing Tour 9. And we will jump a little bit more in depth on some clubs here when we get to the live footage. Okay, so now that we've went over our first 5 tips and discussed all of the clubs that you're going to have to succeed in Tour 9, we're going to move on here to our next 5 tips. So, tip number 6 of 20, use your division bonus to your advantage. It definitely does pay off to get the best possible chess, which means playing as much as we possibly can each week to either maintain a high division bonus or flying up in the ranks to increase your percentages. But having a higher division bonus gives you the maximum amount of cards you can get per tour chest, which means leveling up your clubs faster and being able to compete in higher tours. But this also ties into tip number 7, maximize your pin chest. When you have your pin chest available, make sure to play the best possible tour that you possibly can so that you can maximize your chest loot from your pin chest. You may have noticed you get varying coins, gems, and numbers of cards because you may be playing different tours during different pin chests. So, moving on to tip number 8, maximizing gold and platinum chests. This tip also ties in because what we're going to do to maximize those chests is, say you play Tour 8 or Tour 9, and for the last 3 games you've gotten a silver chest all 3 times. You should try jumping up to Tour 9 because we know that we'll receive a gold chest roughly 1 out of 4 wins. Now it may come on the 5th or 6th game, but you will eventually get your Tour 9 gold or platinum chests, and getting those cards in higher tours will maximize our loot. Moving on to tip number 9, learn your tour's courses. So in Tour 9, we know that currently our courses are Sharuba Springs, the Milano, and Glen Monarch Estates. What I would recommend doing is looking at how to play different holes on those courses. So you could check out our Golf Clash library on our page and see if the course you're looking for is up there yet. We're currently still in the works on uploading all of our Golf Clash library holes to our playlist libraries on the channel. But just do your best to learn your courses when given the opportunities. Why not? So that leads us to our last tip in this set with tip number 10. Know what ball to use in higher tours. Different balls come in handy for different situations, and in my opinion, if you're going to spend money on balls, why not save them for tournaments and special occasions when you might need a higher powered ball on a longer distance course, or maybe a wind resistance 4 or 5 ball for these really high winds on a hard course. But that's going to be the wrap up here for our Tour 9 top 10 tips that we've got through so far, and we're going to move on to the next section. Alright, so moving on to our next 5 tips, we've got tip number 11 here. Practice before jumping into the higher tours. So if we take a little bit of time and we play a few games of a tour that we're used to, say Tour 6 or Tour 7, then you can play and get a few games under your belt, warm yourself up a bit with more of a challenge when you jump up into the higher tours. Getting in a solid warm-up and a familiar tour will make a huge difference when you've just signed on to the game and are starting to play for that day. I would definitely recommend it. It might just help your game that much more, which leads us into tip number 12, play tournaments. Tournaments are an absolute huge part of the game. We have a tournament just about every week and is one of the best ways in the game to get amazing prize chests to really help upgrade our clubs. Now, of course, the higher tournament division that you play in will give you a better prize chest and items depending on your tournament placement. But besides all that, tournaments really are a very good way to learn the courses, play different holes and courses that we might not normally play in the tours we're playing, or you might do even better in a tournament because you're familiar with the holes from playing in the tours. But there is no doubt that tournaments are one of the best ways to really learn and play your courses from any tee box, and if you do better than others, you might end up taking a first through third tournament banner home, which are always cool to show off to your friends. But that's going to lead us over to tip number 13. Don't be afraid to try a difficult shot. You might see some players in tours or tournaments attempting some pretty risky shots, rough bumps, sand bumps, a hook or a slice shot, or maybe it's just a straightforward difficult shot to take. Well, there may be alternate approaches, but there's no doubt that some options may be way better, not taking in the effect, the risk versus reward factor. So as we know, that factor is always in the equation, but don't count yourself out. If you happen to see your opponent attempting the riskier shot and it turns out well for them, well, now in a shootout scenario, you have to try to win, so don't be afraid to try and mimic your opponent's shot. If you've seen them do it correctly, there are certain situations that if you truly want to do the best and be the best you possibly can, you've got to step out of your comfort zone and try those riskier shots until they become second nature and don't seem so risky anymore. But that's also going to lead us into tip number 14. Know when to play it safe. There's tons of different situations we get into out there on the course where sometimes we have different routes and options to choose from. When you put yourself in a similar situation, always try to think one step ahead. If your opponent's attempted a risky shot while going first and his ball ended up in the rough, say you're playing a par 5, your opponent may not be able to make it to the green now, so if you're playing it safe and don't take a risky shot, you can hit your ball nice right down the fairway and play a nice simple match to win. After that, because you know all you have to do is get your ball into a good position on the fairway, and as long as your second shot ends up on the green or near and you can get it into the hole, 9 times out of 10 you'll win, because your opponent will be stuck with a much more difficult shot that they will have to make because the pressure's on, which a lot of the time your opponent will miss the shot and you'll put your ball in for the match win. But that's going to take us to the last tip here within this set at tip number 15, maximize your course knowledge. I wanted to throw this tip in here as well because there's a few different things that this ties into, but every so often there are certain courses that are available in multiple tours, meaning you might find Sequoia Creek in Tour 6 and Tour 10 right now, which gives us an absolute huge advantage to be able to play those courses from different tee boxes. So try familiarizing yourself with a higher level tours courses by seeing if it's available in a lower tour. It may be from a different tee box, but you'll get a nice feel on how to play that course, which is also going to toss us over to tip number 16, take notes. I know it might be a little bit of a stretch for some of you, but if you've got the motivation and you're really wanting to do the best that you possibly can, then I would suggest getting a notebook and a pencil for yourself and literally making yourself your own Golf Clash notebook. It's going to drastically help you in the long run. Imagine playing the new tournament and being able to just flip through your notes to every hole that you already know exactly what to do because you've got it dialed in on your note sheet. And just a friendly tip for those of you out there that are motivated enough. But moving on to tip number 17, learn your best wind option when calculating your wind adjustments. So we've got various ways to do it, but depending on the type of device that you're playing on, you may have different apps or tools to help you out. But for those of us that without those options, I would recommend getting a calculator and playing with a calculator beside you. Or if you're confident, you can do everything in your head. So basically, depending on your device, find what wind and elevation tool best suits your style. But heading over to tip number 18, be consistent. We're going to wrap it up here with our last couple tips. Just try to do your best out there and be consistent. Don't give up or get discouraged. Just keep trying to get better, and you will get better eventually and be where you want. Remember that hard work beats talent. So, we are going to move on to tip number 19. Join or subscribe to Golf Clash creators. Being a creator myself, I'm always trying to maximize my Golf Clash community. So, go out there and join Golf Clash groups on Facebook or subscribe and follow creators on YouTube. Make Golf Clash friends to talk and play with. It makes the game a lot more fun, and we can maximize our community. Us creators are always trying to put cool Golf Clash content out there for you guys. But that's going to leave us here on our last and final tip. Tip number 20. Always have fun. Remember that it is just a game out there, guys. And though a lot of us take it very seriously, we should always try and have fun out there and stay positive. I always feel that I do my absolute best when I'm relaxed and having fun. But before we hop over and hit the live gameplay of Tour 9, I just wanted to mention a few small extra little tips. Maximize your Golf Clash Facebook friends to send coins to each other. People get thousands and thousands every day. Also, our tournament players out there, root for each other. Any tournaments. I do not understand why I see people spamming other people in tournaments, etc. The better that your opponent does in the tournament, the better that you do in the tournament. If your opponent nails an albatross, no matter what, you automatically get an eagle as well, and you also get the albatross attempt. So if you don't make it, you automatically get the eagle. But it's better than the birdie or a par that you could have got, or if you would have hit your ball into the rough and your opponent nails the albatross, he just saved your game. But that's going to be all of the tips and tricks that we have for you guys today. And now we are going to hop over and discuss a lot of the Tour 9 live gameplay that we've got here for you guys. So let's do it. Alright guys, so we're going to move over to our live gameplay here. So one of the biggest things here that I've noticed playing Tour 9 for as long as I have, that's going to help you the absolute most here is learning the courses. Nothing is honestly going to help you more than putting in the hard work and just playing Tour 9. So basically what you're going to have to do is just get in the trenches and start playing. So what we're going to do here is just really try to show you a lot of the elevation, wind adjustments here, and how we play some of these holes, some of the shootout holes here that we have. So on this drive here, I had a 9.9 mile an hour tailwind blowing away from me. So I essentially knew that I was going to be able to make my target over onto that platform by using the right amount of topspin to be able to get it to where it wouldn't roll into that rough. As you can see, I was very close. But basically, you're going to have to pay attention to what course you're playing. And that's really going to take in effect with knowing your courses. Because on this course, I knew specifically that I was going to have to use the big dog as my wood club here and use that club bag with the big dog as my second, as my club here. So basically, I would have the best chance possible at beating my opponent on this hole. Now, you will, run into some, problems with that when you play with your big dog and, say you end up in the shootout. You might be used to using your sniper in the shootout. So you're really going to have to learn to be a little bit more versatile with your clubs and learning your wind adjustments for all of your clubs. So I definitely would recommend making yourself a club note sheet like we talked about earlier and getting all of those numbers for all of your clubs. But basically, what we're going to jump to right now is what I want to talk about is this little wedge shot here that we have. Sometimes it's very hard to adjust or really know how far to adjust your target at such minimum distances when you have higher winds. So my best recommendation here for you guys is to really use that topspin that you have on your wedge and extend out that ball guide as much as you possibly can. Okay, so we're going to move over to a couple of our shootout holes here that we have. So basically what I want you guys to try and pay attention to here is where this guy is lining up his ball. So he's using the sniper here. And what I want you guys also to pay attention to is the elevation and wind and ring adjustments that my opponents use versus what I use. So what we're going to try to do here is basically give you guys a good depiction on making a nice accurate shot towards the pin that you can make a good adjustment for. So basically my opponent here chose to go with max distance and use some backspin here all the way up to the basically to the green. So he had to use some overpower because the wind was blowing back at him. Now I have the big dog here, which has a lot more distance than the sniper. So potentially I could have put my my club and my target way further up even than he did. But basically I would play this hole just like I would with a sniper here. So I used about 1 bar here of left side spin, and we have a wind adjustment of 4.5, which usually would be just past the red ring. But as you can see here, I moved this all the way here to the clear ring to adjust for my 20% elevation here that we do have on this hole. So as you can see, we came in fairly nice, right at the almost exact position that we had adjusted for. So we came in very, very close, and we're actually able to beat our opponent here that had a sniper and we had a big dog. So if you really pay attention, and really learn those courses, know your elevation, you'll have a way better chance at one-upping your opponent because you know that elevation, they may not, or a better way to at least play that hole. So we have another shootout here as well that's going to be a very good depiction on my opponent's shots versus my shot here in the elevation adjustment. So at an 8.9 mile an hour wind here, I'm going to move this 9 rings if I do not have any elevation at all. So I basically moved this 1 target over and then over to the clear ring again, and then I moved this 1 more ring over to adjust for my 10% elevation. Now, I did adjust for that 10%, but we should have actually adjusted for 20% here. So that's why you're going to see me come in just a little bit to the left there at, 1 ring there to the left at 2.0. So essentially what I want you guys to do is watch my opponent's shot here. He's actually using a wind resistance ball, which gives him a very, more, accurate chance at really getting his wind adjustment down pat and, not fighting that wind. So he basically ends up choosing to use the same style shot with the bounce over the water that I did. But what he's going to do is just try to move this 1 target here to the right. But what he does is actually just move that about 3 rings to the right. He didn't even move it a full target over. So essentially this, with that wind adjustment there, his ball is going to blow to the left at least 7 rings. So that's why you saw him come so far over to the left, because the elevation blew his ball even that much further to the left because he didn't even adjust for all of his wind. So that's why he ended up so far over there. So you'll definitely have a very good chance if you really learn those courses and you get out there, put in the work, and you play those holes, really learn how to adjust for all of your clubs, and really dial in a lot of those shootouts. So I also do want to make a little bit of a disclaimer here that this video was in the process of being made while Playdemic had updated their August update here. So we're going to go through just really quick and bring you guys just a couple more little tips here that we would like to show you for the new update. Alright guys, so I just wanted to make a little bit of a disclaimer out there for a lot of you guys that I know that are listening, that are going to be like, oh, well, this is a little bit different now, and, we don't get Tour 6 or Tour 9 chests for, pro or expert tournaments now. We get, a pro match chest, or we get an expert match chest. Well, I understand that. I was actually basically working on this video in the middle of the update that they had, which
all of these tips still apply to Golf Clash and every single thing that you can do on the game. So this video is not going to be void or anything like that. So it's still going to be 100% updated information. So basically, oh, look at that, my power just went out. That's funny. But basically, what we're going to do is basically go over some of the new tips here that I have for you guys that are really going to help you out now that the new update has come out. So essentially, I just wanted to talk about our new practice option that we do have. There's my internet and all that again. So basically, the tips here that I want to go over are use your practice option that we have now for the tournaments. It's going to be an absolute huge factor to really being able to practice a lot of those higher courses or higher level tournament brackets, as far as playing an expert and when you usually play in pro, or trying a Masters tournament when you normally play in pro. So basically, it's just going to give that little bit of comfort to those of you that are a little bit hesitant to step outside of your comfort zone and really try those higher level tournaments, or even really wanting to step up that little bit of your game there. So I also want to talk about the tees and a lot of the balls, emotes and stuff that they're coming out with. A lot of these tees that are coming out now have very good accolades on them. They will give you bonus coins, clan points, practice tokens, but at the same time, you can only use those 6 times for the revolver until you run out and have to basically load up your perk again. So essentially, you're going to basically have to use all of that stuff to your advantage, but know when to use it. I would warm up, make sure that you're in a good mood, playing good, and then say you throw on one of your tees and you're going to play, try to play and, really win a couple games. But, if you're doing bad, and not really feeling like you're going to win, I really wouldn't just risk, using up all of those tees or your new balls and stuff like that. So we're just going to want to basically maximize all of those items as much as we can and use them to our advantage. But I want to hop over here really quick as well and talk about all of these new tournament chests that we do have, because I feel like they're going to be a great addition to the game. So I've actually been able to play through all of the different divisions besides Master here right now to check out all of the division chests that we will get now from tournaments. So Expert being the max chest that I've been able to obtain at this time, we've been able to get some really good items out of those chests. So unfortunately, my one Masters account actually got relegated this last week, so I wasn't actually playing on it as much, so I wasn't able to enter the Master tournament this past week. So we'll definitely try to get some of those chests here, up this week and check those out. But I really feel like those Master tournament chests are going to be the best chests in the game, in my opinion now, other than maybe something that you could buy from Playdemic out of the marketplace there. So they might even end up being potentially better than that, in my opinion. But the rookie tournament chests are basically going to be leveled around Tour 3. So they're kind of, essentially the same, tour and clubs as it would have been, for rookie and pro and expert. Expert getting up to Tour 9 clubs, which Tour 7 is our highest club that we have. So once you reach Tour 7, you can get, all of the club cards potentially, all the way up to, the epics, all that. So basically, what we're going to do is really try to, get a really good idea as far as what's going to be in those chests and what you should expect. So, rookie, tournament chests are going to be anywhere, from those Tour 3, clubs, we're talking like the extra mile, the rough cutter, those, grouped in with a lot of those sort of clubs at the, a little bit lower level, but still, some decent little rares in there that you can get, as well as a few commons. But then we get up to, the pro tournament, and we start to get our Tour 6 clubs, which is going to definitely help us out a little bit more. We start to get up to, like Thor's hammer and, the Amazon, things like that. So it's definitely going to help us out playing the highest tournament bracket that we can. And now you're going to have an even better chance within that bracket playing a higher level, because you will be suited with the same style player as yourself. So that's basically what they've tried to do here, is make the entire system a lot better for everybody out there playing the tournaments, give them a fairer option, make the playing field a little bit more level, so you're not having these guys that are out there, playing Tour 12, during the week, and then going and playing a rookie tournament. So those are the things that we're just trying to avoid. I've actually seen a lot of, Reddit posts and stuff on Facebook so far. A lot of these rookie players and newer guys out there that are really, really enjoying this update, because, they're being able to, come out and, maybe snag a gold with, maybe a subpar kind of score. I saw, a 24 on the stateside classic take a gold. So, that was, 12 on the front 9 and 12 on the back 9, 11 was, that's basically getting one stroke on each 9, one extra stroke. If you play, if you birdie all the par 4s and you eagle all the par 5s and you birdie all the par 3s, you basically get 11 under. But that's also counting if you make the 9th hole chip. So those are the shots he could have made, but it's given a lot of these guys a better opportunity here to really, level up their account a lot faster, win some of these banners, and have a lot more fun with the game. So that's pretty much going to wrap up a lot of our tips here that we have. And I really, really hope that this Tour 9 guide helped you guys out. We tried to get every single little bit of information in here that we could. If there is anything that you guys feel that we may have missed, definitely leave it down in the comment section below, and we'll try to put some annotations or something up on the screen, or even potentially make another video if we have to, maybe explaining something that you guys want answered. So I really hope that this video helped you guys. We tried our absolute best to explain everything in depth for you guys. And this is JRob from Team Energy Golf Clash. If you guys haven't hit that subscribe button yet, click that subscribe button down below, click the bell, and we're going to be bringing you guys a ton of more Golf Clash content. So stay tuned, guys. Peace.